Children, have you ever heard of Saint Louis-Marie de Montfort?
The priest who loved Mary and did miracles.
Oh yes, many miracles. Sit close and I'll tell you his story. Saint Louis-Marie was born on January 31st, 1673, in a little town in France called Montfort-sur-Meuse. He was the second of 18 children. Imagine that. His family was not rich, but they were rich in faith. Even as a boy, Louis loved prayer. He would slip away to the church, kneel before the crucifix, and talk to Jesus as though he were a dear friend. He often carved small wooden crosses and gave them to people so they would remember Christ's love. When he grew older, Louis decided to become a priest. He walked more than 200 miles to Paris to study, giving away his belongings along the road. By the time he arrived, he had almost nothing, but his heart was full of God's love. After becoming a priest, Father Louie-Marie traveled from village to village. He preached missions, taught catechism, and encouraged people to love Jesus through Mary. And children, oh how God worked through him. I could tell you so many miracles. One day in a small village, a man lay dying. His breathing was shallow, his eyes closed. Father Louis prayed over him, and the man slowly opened his eyes, sat up, and said, "Thank you, Father." By morning, he was walking through the streets, telling everyone what God had done. Another time, a village's only well had been poisoned. People were falling sick. Father Louis blessed the water with the sign of the cross, and from that day on, no one became ill from it again. Once, while traveling by boat, a terrible storm rose. The wind howled, and waves crashed over the deck. Sailors shouted in fear. Father Louis lifted his crucifix high, prayed aloud, and in moments the storm calmed to a gentle breeze. In another village, a woman who had been unable to walk for years was brought to him. He made the sign of the cross on her legs, and she stood up, tears in her eyes, and began to walk. There was also the day a chapel caught fire during one of his sermons. The flames crept toward the altar, but when Father Louis prayed, the fire suddenly died, leaving the sacred place untouched. And once, when feeding a crowd of hungry people, the bread began to run out. Father Louis prayed, and the basket seemed to refill again and again until everyone had eaten their fill. He also met a man possessed by evil spirits. During Mass, the man shouted and thrashed. Father Louis prayed firmly, calling on Mary's intercession, and the man instantly became calm, freed from his torment. And then there's the story of the lost traveler. One dark night, Father Louis walked with a man to guide him to the next town, but halfway there, the priest suddenly disappeared. And yet, the traveler found himself at the town gate, safe and unharmed. But his greatest miracle wasn't healing or calming storms. It was changing hearts. People returned to confession after years away. Families who had been divided were reconciled. Villages began praying the rosary every day. However, his tireless work wore out his body. On April 28, 1716, at just 43 years old, Father Louis died in Saint-Laurent-sur-Sèvre. His last words were, "In Mary, I am all yours." His tomb is still there today. Pilgrims from around the world come to pray, and many still speak of answered prayers through his intercession. In 1947, Pope Pius XII declared him a saint, honoring his life and the wonders God worked through him. So, children, after all these stories, what have you learned?
God can do amazing things through us, and loving Jesus through Mary is powerful.
And so, children, Saint Louis-Marie de Montfort's life reminds us that true greatness is not found in wealth, fame, or comfort, but in loving God with our whole heart. He walked miles in the cold, preached to strangers, faced opposition, and yet never stopped smiling because he knew he was serving Jesus and Mary. His miracles amazed the people of his time, but the real miracle was the way he turned ordinary hearts into burning lights of faith. Every rosary he prayed, every poor person he helped, every village he visited was like planting a seed for God's kingdom, and those seeds are still growing today. If we choose, just like he did, to trust in God completely and to say, "I am all yours, Jesus, through Mary," we too can be part of God's miracles in the world. And, dear friends watching at home, if you enjoyed this story and want to hear more inspiring tales of saints and miracles, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. There are many more stories waiting for you. See you in the next one.